Hello and welcome back to Teach Me Something. So today I'm joined by the very handsome Ali Chrara. How are you, mate?
And I'm doing well, doing very well, thank you, Lewis. How are you?
Good. Yeah, pretty good, thank you, mate. Okay, so in its simplest form, what do you do for a living?
Simplest form, I run, manage, and scale an online sales agency. So an online business. We help other online businesses scale through sales, processes, and systems.
Amazing. So how did you get into that in the first place? So how did you know that you wanted to, or you had the skills accumulated to then step into this line of business?
That's a great question, and I get asked that quite a lot, Lewis, especially early on. I didn't know what I was getting into. When I did get into it, I was the type of kid that sort of like growing up, I always sort of liked to like stay active. I always did quite a lot of things on my plate, like sports and school. I was always sort of academic as well. And being that sort of student athlete, I always sort of felt like I was sort of like an overachiever growing up, I guess you could say. But as I sort of finished school, I had like two pathways. I was sort of conflicted what sort of path to take. But funny enough, it's sort of like the world or the universe as it does sort of makes a decision for you. COVID hit and sort of closed everything down. And yeah, I just started, I guess, trying to look for the next part, the next thing for myself that I could sort of get into. And yeah, I wasn't sort of used to being sort of locked into my house and not being able to do anything. So I wanted to make something of it. I found a few things that didn't work at first, and then I sort of, just kept going. Whereas most people would have stopped. I was just like, I'm just going to go all in with it. Invested quite a lot of money into courses, and yeah, finally found my mentor, and he's been the one that sort of helped me, sort of introduce me to this space, which is really cool, and especially online sales and sort of selling high ticket, which we've done for a number of years now. And yeah, now sort of transitioning sort of all those skills that I learned, not just in sales, but more importantly, just building businesses that we did together. And yeah, doing it for our own sort of agency now.
Sick, man. So you primarily sell like business to business, or is it person to business?
That's a great question too. So the first sort of stop for us is business to business. So I like to sort of help the businesses unlock their potential through, sales. And I only like one of our sort of core values in our agency, in our sales agency, as we do partner with businesses, is we have to believe in what they're doing and what they're selling. Right. We have to believe that the fulfillment side of things is down pat. What they're offering to the world is of value. And as we do, we like to also help out the whole sort of scope, and we sort of help the business owners build not just the sales, the systems and processes, but overall the whole sort of online scope as well. Their whole business is sort of optimized as well once we come on board.
Mm. So in terms of like scaling, so say for example, I'm brand new to business. I've just started an e-commerce brand. So how would I then go from like zero to then scaling to where like what would be a realistic scale in that first year? And then how would I then push on from that?
Yeah, that's really good that you sort of brought that up, Lewis. So regarding one of our partners in the agency, in our sales agency, he's just a marketing genius. And when it comes to e-commerce, he's been in the e-commerce space for like over a decade now, helping a lot of stores sort of really scale. And I was sort of new to it when he introduced me to it as I was sort of scaling his business. He sort of taught me a lot about his own now that we're going to be helping him with the sales side of things and the marketing. And he sort of walked me through what a lot of e-commerce stores fail to do when they first start. A lot of them fail to recognize that it's a lot of the small things like that add up, right?
Mm,
A lot of e-commerce stores think like their business is their logo or their business is, their accountant. It's not. Business in its shortest form, and I learned this pretty early on, was money coming in.
yeah.
Right. So with e-commerce stores is if you've got something valuable for someone else to purchase in your store, they're going to buy it.
Mm,
Everything else from there, right? It's not about like just about your passion. A lot of people get caught up in the wishy-washy stuff. It's just marketing and sales,
mm,
right? So once you sort of unlock that and you're working with a team like we're working with, and they're helping so many businesses not just scale from, 100K to like 500K a month and onto like
mm,
six figures a month, but how to start from scratch.
yeah.
the key is the key is always going to be marketing and sales, like any business.
Yeah, yeah. So when it comes to selling, what is your biggest tip that you found, or the biggest thing that's helped you sell from business to business in the past, say, year?
Good question. I think what a lot of people don't understand about sales is, and I didn't when I first started either. I'm not gonna, sit here and lie and say, Lewis, like I was born to do this. It was just something sort of thrust upon me, and I just went all in with it. It's a skill. Sales is a skill, and sales is communication.
Mm.
More than like what I sort of thought sales was at first was the old dirty car salesman, like we all think it is when we first sort of
Yeah.
start. But in the new world of sales, it's problem solution and just communicating that and sort of finding out what this person really needs.
Hmm. So
Right.
coming back to selling, right? So what would you say is the biggest like objections that you typically have when it comes when you're selling business to business?
Mm. Mate, I love that question. And every time I'm asked what's the sort of biggest objection that we get in sales, a lot of the time it's not what people think. Like there's these universal, and as I was learning through, all the courses that we've done and invested into, all the mentorship, a lot of the time, like even the top sales guys in today's world, they they sort of they pinpoint 3 to 4 main objections. A lot of the time
Mm.
it's money, time, partner, or I need to think about it. These are sort of like the universal ones. What I found though was, and I'll sort of taught this in sales itself, is sales isn't external, it's internal. And sales is transformation. It's actually helping someone transform that limiting part of themselves and empowering them to become the best version of themselves.
Mm.
Right. So none of those things actually matter,
Yeah.
right? And a lot of people like are trained up on just handling those things, whereas I was taught, especially by my mentor and all these other sales like great coaches and some of the like top in the space, they know what we all know is that sales is human behavior, right?
Yeah.
So if you actually help these people overcome that limiting part of themselves, like the internal shifting internally, it actually moves them away from those external factors, and then you're just actually like speaking to the person, trying
Mm.
to help the person become the best, like I said, the best version of themselves. So none of those things in objection handling even matters. A lot of the time it's like 99% of the time those things are just completely bullshit,
Yeah. No,
right?
I
And
get
that's
that.
probably my
Yeah.
biggest tip, objections. Yeah,
Yeah.
that'll probably be the big thing.
Yeah. Do you think that having a top degree of empathy for people as a whole has helped you in sales?
Yeah, I think it has. And like to answer that question, more than anything, I believe like sales is everything because everything we do is selling. Like even selling ourselves the idea of walking up to the homeless person and giving them $1. Like
Yeah.
just like everything is like it's an internal game, right? And what I found in sales as well is if you're not willing to help the person and put them first and serve them, you probably shouldn't be on the call.
Yeah.
And it's about putting them first. And a lot of time people get people get like being nice and mistake being nice with empathy.
Mm. Okay.
Whereas it's like I'm not actually serving this person and being empathetic by understanding them and where they are and trying to find the right solution for them if I'm just being trying to be nice. If trying to be nice, I'm not actually like I'm not actually best helping this person because a lot of time if you're just trying to be there just to be liked, right?
Yeah.
I'm not trying to hop on a surfboard just to be liked by the other person or try to be nice to them. It's more so helping them the best way I can through
Yeah.
that understanding.
Yeah. So it's the more you play into the niceness or trying to be a nice person, then the further away from the sale you almost get, right?
Mm,
And
exactly. 100%. Oh, that's the thing. Like it's the same thing as if I'm walking to a gym, I'm not going to go for the personal trainer that's just going to be like my best friend and he's just going to tell me everything I want to hear and just a yes man. Like if I'm
mm,
at like on a bench press and I'm like, 11 reps into a 12 rep set, like I'm on that last push and I'm saying like I can't go anymore. If my personal trainer isn't there pushing me to like break through that limit there, then
Yeah.
they're probably not the best, the best person to actually help you become the best version of yourself. I'm not that type of guy that just to say, oh yeah, that's fine, you can quit there.
Yeah, yeah, no, I don't think any personal trainer is really. Actually, that depend. That
Yeah.
depends. My background
I
is
don't
in
think the
personal
best are. I
training.
don't think the best are anyway. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, you're right.
no, like my background's in personal training, so like I get that a lot. And I've seen that a lot. People just pretty much just fucking around with a personal trainer instead of actually doing the graft, doing the hard work, putting in the reps. Um, if you had to start your business all over again, what is the first three things that you would do?
Great question. The first thing I would do would be to get a mentor.
Mm,
Like myself, and I don't know if this has been said by someone very smart in the past, or maybe I picked it up, but I always told myself, find find the person that's doing the thing you want to do and just do what they do.
yeah.
Right? Like I went to university and I walked into a classroom full of students, at their desks and a professor at the front of the classroom. And I just looked at the guy. He was like 45-year-old divorced guy. Like I knew the professor himself. He was driving an old Camry. And I just said, like, I have nothing against this guy, and he's probably very educated. I just don't want to live the same life you want to live. So for myself, the first thing would be find someone that's already doing what you want to do and just copy and paste. Probably the,
Yeah.
the number one thing. And yeah, I'd learn number two, I'd just do everything I can to just learn sales, communication, influence.
Mhm.
Right. Just yeah, that'd probably be one of the biggest things that I learned to build those foundations. And the third thing would be to just wait. Like patience is a
Patience.
virtue. And
Mm,
yeah, you got to pay the price, man. Pay the price
yeah,
of success.
that's fair. Um, those are beautiful. I think almost everybody I've asked that question has said to invest in a mentor straight off the bat because it just cuts the time. If you like scale it over 5 years, it'll scale it from that 5 years without one. It'll cut it down by at least half if you've got a mentor.
Yeah, yeah, and that's the thing. Like money loves speed, right?
That's
Like
it.
I heard from a mentor of mine actually, like I said, one of the goats in sales in the whole space in the whole industry, and he was talking about if like money isn't actually about just acquiring money, it's actually acquiring it fast. Like if you wanted to acquire, say, $1 million, but you wanted to acquire over 25 years, right? I think it comes down to what, like $25,000 a year,
Yeah,
right?
literally, which is fuck
I just think
all.
investing in a mentor, like you said, yeah, exactly. It's just cutting down that time. So
Yeah,
yeah, money loves speed and so does learning. So I think finding a mentor is probably the number one thing that would just cut the time and speed amount, like
yeah.
just on the accelerate the success as much as possible.
For sure. So, as a coach, do you feel like it's difficult to live up to your own on your online persona, but in private?
Hmm. Could you ask that question again? You got me. I'm just thinking about it. Could you ask the question again?
Do you feel like it's difficult to live up to your online persona, but in your private life?
It's a great question. In my experience, and I'm just a true believer of this. If you're not doing what you say you're doing, then people shouldn't work with you.
Mhm.
So, in my opinion, like you should be doing twice as much in the dark. Like I know the most successful athletes in the world, right, or the most successful celebrities in the world. They're like they're working twice as hard, 10 times as hard, 1,000 times as hard in the dark than they are in the light. And
Mm,
I just know preparation breeds success. So for myself, like whatever you're putting out there, if you're not doing like 1,000 times as much in the in the behind the scenes, like I
mm,
said, with the top guys in any space, like LeBron James, I know he's the type of guy that is not just so successful in what he does every single day, but he breeds that success. It's like an equation. Like me doing this, me putting this many hours of preparation and practice, I'm gonna get this amount of result, this amount of success. So I
yeah,
think yeah, it's so much more important to put it behind the scenes because otherwise people find this out pretty quickly nowadays
yeah.
anyway. So
Fair enough, bro. Fair enough. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that wraps us up. Thank you very much, Ali, for joining us. Appreciate it. There's
Lewis,
a lot
mate,
of
great
takeaways.
conversation. Thank you, man. I appreciate it. The questions were amazing, and I really felt like, I got a lot of value from that just speaking about it. So, man, appreciate the conversation.
Amazing. Thank you so much, bro.
Legend.